Students, after Lenin died in 1925, Stalin emerged as the leader of the Communist Party. In the next few years, Stalin launched absolute control and brought all the opposition to an end. His unchallenged power helped in building the economy of USSR.
The program of economic development was begun by USSR through the introduction of 5-year plans in 1928.
This included a twin policy of rapid industrialization and collectivization of agriculture. Under the leadership of Joseph Stalin, USSR tried to end the small peasant production by forcing all the small and large farmers to surrender their lands and join the collective farms.
Students, the main idea was to shift from small-holding farming to large-scale farming so that new methodologies and techniques can be used.
The collective farms simply meant farms were pooled in all the land in the village along with the tools, machines and animals. The farmers worked together and the produce was collectively divided among the various members of the farms.
But many thousands of farmers, especially the large farmers, were against the idea of collective farms. As they resisted, they were imprisoned, deported and even had to face death.
As a result, a severe famine struck during 1929 to 30, which led to the death of a large number of people in the country. Gradually, after a period of decline, agricultural production increased, which helped USSR. During the same time, industries were built at an unimaginable scale.
The industries were entirely owned by the state, which also did not allow free market and as a result sold the industrial produce directly to the consumers. But the construction of industries led to poor working conditions. The construction of a steel plant in the city of Magnitogorsk was completed in 3 years. The workers lived a very difficult life. 550 blockages in the first year of the work itself was an evidence for the difficult situations the workers faced. The farmers had to go across the street in order to use the toilets in their quarters when the winters were at 40 degrees below. At the same time, extended schooling system was introduced, which was made available for factory workers and peasants so that they can enter universities.
Creches were started in the factories for the children of the working women. In addition, cheap public health care was provided to the people. Modern living quarters were also built for the people.
The effect of all this was not even as the resources of the government was limited.
Gradually, USSR was able to achieve full employment for all the people, which also improved their standard of living. Literacy and primary education was universalized.
It is exactly during this period that the Western world began to face the Great Depression, in which the factories were closed down and millions of workers lost their jobs. Thousands of peasants could not get good prices for their produce as the prices rapidly declined due to shutting down of factories.
USSR was one nation that did not get influenced by the Great Depression. The disintegration with the international market was one of the main reasons why USSR could escape from its impact.
In addition, the planned economy of Russia helped it in deciding what to be produced and the quantity to be produced. As a result, they could maintain a balance between demand and supply. Students, this did not happen very easily. It was a result of the huge centralization of the political power in the hands of the Communist Party. In addition, the refusal of ordinary democratic liberties to the citizens and the elimination of opposition through use of force, which included large-scale execution of the opposition leaders, were also some aspects that helped them. Students, this was all done on the request that it was necessary to bring socialism while defeating the capitalist powers that continuously tried to weaken USSR. The USSR experience inspired people across the world, especially those who believed in the ideals of equality and national liberation. Many of these nations now are communists and they have tried for communist revolution in the countries.
People like M.N. Roy, Tagore and Jawaharlal Nehru were highly inspired by the Russian experience, although they were not in agreement with many aspects of communism, which included suppression of opposition. In 1930, Rabindranath Tagore wrote from Russia describing how the transformation took place. He points out Moscow as less clean than the other European capitals. None of those hurrying along the streets look smart.
The whole place belongs to the workers. Here, the masses have not in the least been put in the shade by the gentlemen. Those who lived in the background for ages have come forward in the open today. I thought of the peasants and workers in my own country. It all seemed like the work of the genie in the Arabian Nights. Only a decade ago, they were as illiterate, helpless and hungry as our own masses, who could be more astonished than an unfortunate Indian like myself to see how they had removed the mountain of ignorance and helplessness in these few years.
In addition, M.N. Roy, who was in Central Asia at the time of the Civil War in 1920s, played an important role in the establishment of Comintern, an international organization that was established to promote communist revolution in the world. According to his writings, the chieftain was a benevolent old man. His attendant, a youth who spoke Russian. He had heard of the revolution which had overthrown the Tsar and driven away the generals who conquered the homeland of the Kyrgyz. So, the revolution meant that the Kyrgyz were masters of their home again. Long live the revolution, shouted the Kyrgyz youth who seemed to be born Bolshevik. The whole tribe joined. In addition, there were many other Indians who were inspired by the ideology in Russia. On the other hand, many people were also terrified by the fact of violent elimination of the opposition and the refusal of multi-party democracy and freedom in the USSR. Animal Farm is a famous satire written by George Orwell, which highlights how the ideals of Russian Revolution were compromised in USSR.